Welcome to your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 538. If you are writing a book or thinking about it, or maybe trying to finish a book that you've started writing at some point, you are in the right place. Good morning. Happy Thursday. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh, also known, especially online, as Christine Ink. I-N-K, like that stuff we write with. Each day I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 19 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they have the ability to turn someone who barely sees themselves as a writer into a published book author. Those three things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. Here's today's quote. Do not fear failure, but rather fear not trying. Roy T. Bennett. And once again, good morning. Happy Thursday. Hope everybody's week is going well and wrapping up nicely. And today I am going to revisit two of my favorite author myths. And I find these to be especially prevalent among first-time authors, but really they're just pretty prevalent. Even people, people who haven't even written a book yet, some of them use these two myths as reasons not to get started. And the reason I'm doing this is certainly not to make fun of anyone or pretend that I've never been guilty of thinking either of these two things. Really, it's just to bring them to your awareness, hopefully to save you some time and frustration in your author journey. Because remember, the point of this show is to help you write and finish writing an awesome book. So here are two examples of thinking that will not help you do those things. So thinking number one, I call this the cabin in the woods theory. And here's what it looks like. Holding off on writing your book until you have a few months or even longer, maybe like a year of just this magically, miraculously available time where you can go off to a cabin in the woods or whatever the equivalent of a cabin in the woods is for you, maybe like a beach hut, who knows, somewhere where you can go off and be uninterrupted and the world will leave you alone and you can write your great American novel. This is another version of this theory. This very popular theory is, I will write my book when I have some spare time, or I'll write my book when my schedule opens up. Well, I can definitively tell you from personal and career experience, the cabin in the woods, the beach hut, the spare time, the schedule magically opening up, those are all author myths. And don't get me wrong, they're beautiful myths. They're calming, they're lovely, they're wonderful to imagine. But in terms of the real world statistical probability of any of those things happening to allow you to write a book, well, just keep playing Powerball, and maybe that'll work out too. If you have the serious intention to write a book, it's up to you to schedule it into the life you are currently living. That's so important. I'm going to say it again. If you have the serious intention to write a book, it is up to you and no one else to schedule it into the life that you are currently living. One that will never, a life that will never, I'm sorry to tell you, open up and ease up and allow you to write your book. You are completely in charge of that. And on the other side of this, I want to make sure that it feels like a happy thing for you. That shouldn't feel constricting. That should actually feel liberating. You are in charge of your time, whether you believe it or not. So if you want to write a book, you can make it happen. Thinking number two. So we'll just call this like author myth number two. It's kind of similar, but more specifically, I call this one, I will come back to my book project when life isn't so crazy. And I have heard so many authors say this over the years, authors I've worked with. And guess how many actually did eventually come back to their book projects? I would say maybe like 5%, 10% if I'm being generous. I mean, most of those books just end up dying in a drawer, and it's really sad because there's some really great book ideas that I've heard over the years. And, life is crazy now. I'll come back to my book eventually. And of course, they never do. So guess what? When they did come back to their book, so the 5 to 10%, here's what's really cool. The 5 to 10% of authors that did actually and do actually come back to their book projects as they promised, you know what? Their life isn't any less crazy than it was when they set their book project aside in the first place. No, their life is the same. Sometimes it's even crazier. The only difference is that they realized this would always be the case, and they decided to write their books anyway. So my advice is, if life is legitimately off the hook chaotic in a way that you can't commit to the book writing process that you would prefer to, for example, in your mind, you would love to write a little every day or write in large chunks of time on weekends, just the way that you imagine, book writing fitting into your schedule. If that just can't happen because of hopefully something temporary that's happening in your life, don't simply walk away from your book and say, I'll come back to it when life isn't crazy, because that's when I see books die. Don't leave it in the drawer to shrivel up and die. Instead, commit to baby steps of progress. And whatever that means for you based on your life, commit to baby steps of progress. Keep that energetic connection to your book alive. Be a committed observer of yourself as an author. And really strategize very intentionally about what you can still do on your book during these chaotic times, even while life is crazy. And make sure you put an end date on those baby steps. Monitor your life chaos, and as soon as you see a light at the end of the tunnel, start working, again, very intentionally from your baby steps of progress back to your ideal writing plan. Don't just assume that, you're going to see when it's ideal utopia and say, oh, okay, now I can write. Just make sure you're really, really cognizant of where your life is and how that matches your writing plan. Adjust your strategy, your writing strategy, to your life circumstances. And above all, keep plugging away, keep that energetic connection to your book alive, and don't give up. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I am helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And please drop by my Inc. Authors group. By the way, that counts as a baby step. Staying engaged and active in my Inc. Authors group on Facebook. If your life is so chaotic that literally you don't even have time to write your book, stay engaged in the Inc. Authors group. Talk about your book, brainstorm it with people. Somehow keep that energetic connection alive. So being in my Inc. Authors group on Facebook, that definitely counts. Hope to see you there. Until tomorrow. Happy writing.